Good afternoon, everyone. Creative and cultural industries. And we have an esteemed panel, including Mr. Fasi Zaka, who is Senior Communication Advisor, Mr. Zulfiqar Jabbar Khan, who is Curator and Producer, Coke Studio, Pakistan, Ms. Sanam Saeed, I think every one of us is familiar with her, TV, film, and theatre actor, and Ms. SAROSH NISAR, who is visual artist, and shortly we'll be joined by Ms. SOPHIYAANJAM. With that, I will give the floor to Mr. Fasi Zaka.
We're talking about the creative industries in general, and we've got representatives from the arts, from film, from theater, from hosting, from music, from production, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss overall how the arts is as a segment for economic growth in the country, what are the issues around it. We'll cycle through those questions relatively fast to get a good overview of what the issues are. And then we'll ask a series of questions to our panelists about what their own journey was and how they grew into who they are today. And we'll then also have a section where we'll open it up to the floor. If you have any questions for our panelists, you're most welcome to ask those questions. We've done this once before in Peshawar, and there were a lot of people who see themselves and who see these people as heroes that they want to emulate, and they just want to get an idea of how to at least tread the path that they've already walked. The creative and cultural industries are incredibly important, not only for their economic value, but they add a lot to the informal power of nations. Culture tends to open up a lot of representation for countries that has many different ways that advantages accrue. For some countries, that also includes enhancing its tourism. It is a means of also getting informal influence, whether it's negotiations, other things. And it's just one part of becoming, and we've all seen, at least in the past decade, South Korea do this incredibly well. And it's now a nation where, children run away from home, even in Karachi, trying to go and meet BTS. We also have with us SOPHIYAANJAM, who is a well-known radio host. She does hosting for TV shows, also for events. We're very happy to have you here as well.
Thank you so much. I just came straight from the airport. So if I make a boo-boo right now, please just excuse me.
So it's hard to deny her excuse, but we'll accept it today. But anyhow, I'm going to open up and I'm going to pass the question off to Sanam Saeed. And this is a very broad question, but do you think, is this something that is even feasible, that the creative industries can be an avenue for economic growth in Pakistan?
Assalamu alaikum. Absolutely. We've got Hollywood and Bollywood and, as you said, Korea as examples to show how much money is generated, how much revenue is generated through just ticket sales, cinema sales, OTT platforms, concerts, theaters. These create a lot of job opportunities also, but more so, to answer the question, is of course these are some of the best avenues to generate revenue for the economy. The entertainment industry is huge, whether it's radio, it's cinema, it's television. You get commercial slots, you get advertisements in those slots. It's one of, I don't know, but from my tiny bit of knowledge, it's one of the best and biggest and maybe fastest ways to generate revenue in the economy.
Okay. And Ms. SAROSH NISAR, you're a visual artist, and one of my questions to you would be, do you think that there are avenues available to the youth to be involved or excel in the creative industries? Is this something that is an industry that is relatively open for new blood? It's that she does believe that there's a lot of avenues for the industry and for the youth to be involved in this. And we'll come back to SAROSH to discuss this further. Zulfiqar, or should I call you Zulfi? What do you prefer?
Zulfi.
Zulfi, okay. So, Zulfi, you've just heard both Sanam and SAROSH. Fairly optimistic view. Do you agree?
100%. In fact, if you don't mind, I want to just read something out.
Okay.
Just a little bit of interesting information. You talked about Korea. I just want to read something from an article that's a fact, and that will be really insightful for all of us. The development of the Korean pop music and culture sector, or Hallyu, or as it is referred to, was a 2-decade-long, patient and intentional state-structured process. Following a recession, a number of progressive policymakers recognized the potential impact of music and culture as a way out of debt. अब इससे बड़ी बात क्या हो सकती है? Right. आगे, and in 1997, after being humiliated in asking the IMF for an emergency loan to tackle a financial crisis, investment was directed to a publicly managed national rebranding exercise based on music, art, and culture streams. That's how they solved their national problem. If I ask anyone right now, do you know, and I just want to tell you the intensity of, the beautiful intensity through which they have impacted. In Sakkar, who do you think is the most listened to artist? Sakkar, Pakistan. BTS, right? They might not know about Kanayari or Coke Studio. That's the truth. Because see, they have exported the culture also outside, but we have to also include our culture inside. And that's a very important part of our missions over here, right? So I can't agree more to both the esteemed guests, 100%. I mean, the opportunity is too much. We can talk about, for days about it. So many layers of culture, and so many layers of discovery. And I mean, there is a brand called Baluchi Duchi in Oman. So what are they doing? They are just basing all of they are a fashion designer. So all of their sensibility comes from Baluchi art. So our culture is being exported. I mean, even through Coke Studio, हमारा मकसद तो culture export ही है. And लेकिन उसकी जो possibility है उसके through क्या क्या कर सकते हैं. I mean, not just music export, using Coke Studio as a language to talk to the world, and then making sure the world, understands us as a magical Pakistan. Yeah.
As a very quick question.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Pakistan have a boy band? हमारा अपना One Direction क्यों नहीं है? हमारा अपना BTS क्यों नहीं है?
I think बड़ा अच्छा सवाल, बड़ा मज़ेदार सवाल है. देखें, जब वाइटल साइंस भी था उस टाइम पे बॉय बैंड था. अगर आप, इफ़ यू रियली आस्क मी इन दैट वे, आई मीन, ऐसा नहीं कि अब ऐसा हो नहीं सकता. एब्सोल्युटली इट कैन हैपन टुडे एज वेल. एंड आई थिंक नाउ विद वियर्डली द इन्फ्लुएंसेस जो ग्लोबली कल्चरली आपको दुनिया के डिफरेंट जगहों से मिल रहे हैं ना. इवन थोड़ा सा मैं आपको बता भी दूं कि हाउ BTS was formed, just a little information so that conversation. They have streamlined the whole process in finding talent, scouting for talent, figuring out who are those best 4 or 5 people who can work together, who can unite and create magic. So it's not like they just find people and they put them in a band. It's like a graduation process. It's like a university where they are taught, they learn so many different things, they teach them everything. I mean, it's like a school for them. So this is how BTS or a boy band is formed. And I don't think there is no reason कि यहाँ बन नहीं सकता. And I think in the future you are going to see a lot of them, if I may say that. Yeah.
Sanam says there has been a boy band.
He just said Junoon. Well, there was Junoon, Awaz, Vital Signs. Vital Signs was the chocolate hero boy band.
Yes, and the boy band culture, I mean, बहुत ज़्यादा था. एक टाइम पे तो हमने boy bands देखे. बेशक वो rock bands हो जाएं. मतलब मेरा भी EP एक boy band ही था उस टाइम पे. So yeah, the culture has been here. ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं है, but yeah.
फिर जुल्फी, आप जैसे माहिरीन producers and music gurus ऐसे form करें ना, bands train करके.
See, the
Coke
thing
Studio
is,
creates individual artists.
I'll tell you, this is a beautiful question. Honestly speaking, the reason is, जहाँ जहाँ talent exist करता है ना, वहाँ वहाँ पहुँचना ज़रूरी होता है सनम.
बिल्कुल.
अब right now, see, if I say Sakkar, अब सक्कर में पता नहीं, there is a hip hop revolution in Sakkar that nobody knows about. मतलब in my scouting, I have found so many amazing even rap artists, hip hop artists, producers in Sakkar. So there is the chance of curating all of this. हमने सिर्फ अभी surface scratch की है, especially music को लेके. और the probability of this is like immense. And yes, that's the plan as well कि हम जितने भी तरीक़ों से musically और art के through दुनिया को अपना narrative, greater narrative बता सके ना, वो हमने करना है, क्यों नहीं?
और फिर इसी बात को इकोनॉमी के साथ टाई करने के लिए we have to work on royalties for musicians and residuals for actors. आपको पता है हम लोग ज़िंदगी गुजारे, मैंने इतने पैसों में क्या था 10 साल पहले. and it has been sold to various channels, different countries, dubbed in different languages, and we get nothing, not a penny. If we got that and that went back into the economy, that's another huge way of our industry being able to feed back into the economy.
Bilkul.
But that is also something.
Now that's happening because that awareness is here now. Now everybody knows about it, and it has already started to happen. Now I think कोई बेवकूफ़ भी नहीं बना सकता कोई हमें different तरीके से. Yes, you're right. Economy create होगी तो तभी इसका timeless फ़ायदा है.
Sania, I think I lost control of my panel for a few minutes.
I was actually just about to chip in,
You chip
but I
in.
was like, okay, maybe Fasi needs to ask the question. He is supposed to be the moderator.
Gigi, I just wanted to ask you very quickly. I mean, again, so we've heard all of this, and you're also on another end of the spectrum. You're doing hosting, you're doing radio, you're doing a lot of other things as well. You've also got your own setup. So, I mean, again, are you as optimistic as the rest of our panel?
Maybe more.
Okay.
Yes. But I will start with the basic, right? How many of you, can you just raise your hands? Okay, I do. Zulfi does. I mean, everyone over here. You know, the power of Captain Planet? The power of Captain Planet was that when it was shown on TV, everyone wanted to become a planeteer. I honestly thought that this ring that I had a superpower. So what I'm trying to say is that the media has the power to change the narrative and to change the world. Right? And I remember, अगर आप ऑडियो की बात करें तो मुझे याद है जब मैं छोटी होती थी तो एक पौधने की कहानी होती थी. पता नहीं यहाँ पे किसी को पता है कि नहीं, मैं तो खैर एंशिएंट हूँ, but I don't know if people over here have you ever heard about पौधने की कहानी? The cassette कहानियाँ back in the day. Yes, जुल्फी आपको तो याद ही हो गया, हमारी तो एक ही जनरेशन है, ठीक है. तो उस जमाने में क्या होता था कि जो आप सुनाते थे लोगों को ऑडियो फॉर्मेट में, चाहे वो कैसेट कहानियाँ हों या आप उनको कार्टून्स के फॉर्म में दिखाते थे, इट हैड अ ह्यूज इम्पैक्ट, राइट? आई रिमेंबर लालची मछेरन की कहानी. इट वाज अबाउट, डू यू रिमेंबर दैट? सो द थिंग इज, व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट यू रियली नीड टू क्रिएट गुड कंटेंट and you need to package it well. And BTS is all about inspiration, isn't it? People get inspired. Why do you think people do all these TikTok videos? How many of you use TikTok over here? Raise your hands, please. And Reels on Instagram? Anyone? Okay. What inspires you to do something? It could be perhaps a certain music loop that you thought was very creative or catchy, or maybe a competition. You know, maybe you thought that it's something that you need to just delve into. So I think what is missing is lack of inspiration. So we're following the herd, but we're not creating the kind of content that we should be creating.
To be,
Ji.
you know, focused on.
Yes, absolutely.
Needs to be focused because value system is very, very, you know, in Pakistan, value system is not taught to in schools, in homes also. So that needs to, you know, be introduced. And you know, when we were little, tell us,
Like this.
you know, what values, honesty, dignity, you know, everything, such things, you know, bring, and merit. Also, people should be based on merit, coming to such, you know, avenues.
Right.
So
Okay.
merit should not be neglected.
Sure. I'm just going to take the discussion back to a few specific questions. And I think Sanam just hinted at it initially. Now, so there are two questions, and I'm opening it to the panel, and if you just signal to me if you want to answer this.
Yeah.
The first question is that this concept of residuals, that you've done things 10 years ago, it's still making money, still being aired, but you're not getting a cut from what's happening. It's true also for royalties for music. It's an issue. We're on radio, we play all this music, but they don't get anything from it. The channel benefits. The second one is that we see a story roughly every 6 months where an incredibly famous comedian or an incredibly famous actor is asking the government for money for their liver transplant. Their children are left, they're in dire poverty. In other countries around the world, they have these screen actor guilds. They have a component of their money going into what would eventually become a pension plan and all that. So I just want to know that these particular specifics that make the creative and cultural industries not just an engine of growth, but as a livable profession. Why are these two things absent here or not sufficiently developed? So if anybody wants to take a shot at this. Why are these absent here or not sufficiently developed? Like, what is the reason that this hasn't gone forward?
I think,
Yes.
because it's lack of culture. I mean, see, when you go out on the road, आप आस-पास देखते हैं, how many times are you able to just witness art or culture? I mean, on all these other countries where you go, आप sightseeing के लिए या tourism के लिए कहीं भी जाएं, कहीं आपको नज़र आएगा एक बंदा पेंटिंग बना रहा है, कहीं आप हाँ स्ट्रीट आर्ट होगा, कहीं आपको नज़र आएगा बंदा म्यूज़िक प्ले कर रहा है. अब बेशक उन कंट्रीज़ के नेशनल नैरेटिव्स कितने भी पॉलिटिकल क्यों ना हो, बट in the life that they are living, it's clear that art is a very important part of them, and that is how the country and the nation thinks. We have to propagate it. You know, to have it as an important thing in people's minds, you have to propagate it as something which is as important as anything else that you do. I mean, I really feel as an artist myself, and I feel sometimes कि एक वो जो lack of love for culture and art है ना, वो बहुत prevalent है through so many things. But I would love to go out on roads and see कि यार I can see that somehow even को बाहर से भी आए ना और वो देखे हमें, तो वो कहे कि they are people of love, और लव हमेशा आर्ट के थ्रू ही आप कन्वे कर सकते हो सबसे आसान तरीके से.
Acha, I would just like to chip in something. I might seem a bit negative when I say that, but this is purely my experience in life. You might agree and you might disagree, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it also. I feel that, and I'm generalizing it a little bit, obviously exceptions would be there. I feel that when it comes to Pakistanis, individually, we are fantastic. We are talented, we are capable, we are enterprising, but collectively हम मार खाते हैं. या तो हमें कोई इनसिक्योरिटी होती है कि अगर हम अगले बंदे को प्रमोट करें या इंकरेज करें तो या तो हम लोग जो हैं वो डाउन हो जाएंगे. आई डोंट नो व्हाट द प्रॉब्लम इज़, व्हाट द इशू इज़, बिकॉज आई एम अ ट्रैवलर, आई लव टू ट्रैवल, एंड वेन एवर आई डू आई लव रिप्रेजेंटिंग माई कंट्री. आई टोल्ड Zulfi when I was in Turkey that, you know, they were representing all the countries through music, and they represented Pakistan through Pasuri. Wow. And remember, I WhatsApped you, right? So I love that. But the only thing that I feel is that when we are together on a global front, हम बहुत ज़्यादा मार खाते हैं क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि हम अपने आप को प्रोजेक्ट करें. At least I think they're getting there. With respect to music, if you talk about the current musicians, Manu, Hassan Rahim, Abdul Hanan, ये लोग जो ये जो लॉट है वालियो, ये लोग आपस में एक दूसरे को बहुत सपोर्ट करते हैं. ताहा जी, they collaborate. आई मीन जो हमारी जनरेशन थी, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि थोड़ी सी लॉबीज थी उसके अंदर, और थोड़ा सा ज़रा उनको लगता था कि अच्छा ठीक है, अगर ये कुछ कर रहा है, टीम ए कर रही है, तो टीम बी ने हाथ नहीं मिलाना. तो आई थिंक वी काइंड ऑफ गेटिंग देयर, वी आर ऑन द राइट ट्रैक, बट वी रियली नीड टू बिल्ड अ फ्रेटर्निटी, एंड फॉर दैट वी नीड mentorship. That is where Zulfi comes in. We need training programs, we need schools here, we need centers here, and we need mentors.
बिल्कुल. आई थिंक अ कॉमन थीम, मैं 2-3 टॉक्स में भी बैठी थी, एंड द कॉमन थीम इज़ यही बात कि एज इंडिविजुअल्स वी एक्सेल, बट आई डोंट नो एज पाकिस्तानीज हमें एक प्रॉब्लम है टू कोलैबोरेट, to get together as musicians, as artists, as government, as different sects of society. Abhi Dr. Nayab was saying how we're so fragmented. But tribal ये जो एक system है of just protecting your own kind or yourself. And I think the whole point of this EconFest is for us, the youth of the future of tomorrow, to learn not to be so selfish. Social media is the death of collaboration, I think, in a lot of ways. आप बस अपने फ़ोन में चिपके रहते हैं और हम बहुत सेल्फ सेंटर्ड बन जाते हैं. बस अपने आप का ख्याल रखना है कि मेरी पॉपुलैरिटी कहाँ से आएगी, मेरा इनकम कहाँ से आएगा, मैं कहाँ खर्च करूँगा या करूँगी. बट एक कलेक्टिव एफर्ट मुझे कहीं नज़र नहीं आता, ना मेरी इंडस्ट्री में, मेरी फ्रेटर्निटी में. ईच एक्टर इज़ आउट देयर फॉर हिज ओन, ईच सिंगर इज़ आउट देयर फॉर हिज ओन, ईच assembly member, politician, each religious sect ka banda. I mean, we're very fragmented. So absolutely. And the one thing we don't have are role models in any of the industries, because we're all out there, survival of the fittest. We're not collaborating and coming together. And I hope कि इस 2-day festival के ज़रिए हमें कोई इस बात का एहसास हो और हम इकट्ठे काम करके एक वो बनाएं, think tank, जो कि this is supposed to be that, a think tank where we have collective minds coming together, brainstorming and trying to figure out solutions, because these discussions can happen और आप लोग के Q&A sessions के ज़रिए हम लोग figure out कर सकते हैं. But really, like in the other sessions, Dr. Fahim was saying, the youth is not, we just need to be more hardworking, more attentive and less distracted with social media. It's just one thing I wanted to add.
Can I just plug in one thing? I'm so glad that you talked about the social media. You know, I read something somewhere that don't use the social media to impress, use it for impact. So what do we do when you use the social media? We use it because, you know, we'll get instant gratification. We put up a picture or a video or do something which is trending just so that people could like it. But we don't realize the impact it could have. It has so much of power,
Social media also needs
right?
to be very honest with what they project.
Yes.
They do.
So I'm just going to come in here. जो मैंने सवाल किया था, we go back to that.
Sorry, Fasi, हम भूल ही गए आप
To
moderator.
get a specific answer. I'm asking is why have then you people not come together to ensure royalties come? I remember AMP was created. What were the reasons for that not working out? There is, you've done dramas. Dramas have existed for 50, 70 years, since 65, 67 when PTV and all that came out. What has prevented artists from sitting down, because there exists policies around the world. The work on residuals, which is re-airing something, is fairly standard. Why, I mean, देखें, ये एक बात है कि हम youth को कहें कि आप ऐसे ना करें. Why didn't you guys do it?
Red tape and bureaucracy, we have groups.
Yes.
Royalty for Actors, a group hai. Mikal Zulfiqar is really trying his best over there. There's the ACT group, Atika Odo is very active on that. But at the end, these policies need to be implemented, bills need to be passed. तो हम वहाँ फिर अटक जाते हैं.
But there has been a lot of access of artists with different governments.
Yes.
It's happened during the Musharraf era,
Yes.
even in this previous government. So if you've had the access, what prevents advocacy from becoming policy?
I honestly
Yes.
feel when I said that culture thing, it's like, you know, किस चीज़ पे कितनी अटेंशन है.
हाँ, ये बात है.
I mean, इस चीज़ पे अटेंशन ही नहीं है, तो वो उस बारे में आप इंडस्ट्री कैसे बनाएंगे? एक कल्चर में इंडस्ट्री ना खुद फंसी डेवलप हो जाती है. तो आप कल्चरली तो आप उस चीज़ को करें ना, उस अवेयरनेस को बढ़ाएं, उस प्रोपोगेशन को बढ़ाएं. एंड एज फार एज इवन आई एम श्योर हम अपनी अपनी कैपेसिटीज़ में जहाँ जहाँ हमारे पास कंट्रोल है तो हम वो मेक श्योर करते हैं कि सारी चीज़ें फेयर हों, बैलेंस्ड हों और हर कोई अर्न करे, इवन थ्रू यू नो ऑल ऑफ द अर्निंग्स. आप रेवेन्यू की बात भी कर रहे हैं. सो ये बात के इतने अरसे से ये क्यों नहीं हुआ? आई थिंक द अटेंशन टूवर्ड्स दैट हैज़ बिन लैकिंग. दैट्स द ट्रूथ इन पाकिस्तान. आई मीन I don't know a lot of policies as well जो बड़ा मुझे art forward policies लगे. I don't remember a lot of them, right? But now because you can't really, आप इसको अब इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते हैं यार थ्रू आर्ट. आप कर ही नहीं सकते. अभी मैं एक चीज़ पढ़ रहा था, कोविड के अंदर पाकिस्तान के आर्ट एक्सपोर्ट्स, पेंटिंग्स एंड एंटीक्स, वो एक्सपोनेंशियली बढ़ गए थे. And obviously the world is really interested in our culture. I mean, I firsthand has experienced it through Coke Studio. We did Coke Studio live in Dubai and we realized that the world wants to witness every layer of us because they want to know the kind of अच्छे people we are, you know, the kind of things we need to express, the things we want to talk about. So ऐसा नहीं interest नहीं है. अब जब interest develop हो रहा है ना फसी, तो यकीन माने ये automatic है कि ये होगा. आपकी इंडस्ट्री में जो आपको चीज़ें जो आपको कभी रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस नहीं मिले, अब मिलेंगे. अब आप इग्नोर ही नहीं कर सकते हैं. इतने आर्टिस्ट हैं, इतने लोग हैं हर फील्ड में आर्ट्स की.
अच्छा, मेरे पास 2 पॉइंट्स हैं. अगेन आई माइट साउंड अ बिट रफ व्हेन आई से दिस. जब आप पॉलिसीज़ की बात करते हैं या जब आप बात करते हैं उन लोगों की जो स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, आई एम सॉरी टू से बट दे यूज़ अ टूल कॉल्ड रिलीजन, ओके, टू प्रोपगेट देयर ओन इंटरेस्ट्स मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम. तो रिलीजन में क्या आता है कि म्यूज़िक है हराम. ठीक है जी. तो क्या होता है कि जब आप एज ए सोसाइटी यू ग्रो अप लिसनिंग टू सच स्टोरीज और हेयरिंग सच स्टोरीज एंड थिंकिंग कि अच्छा ठीक है कोई डांस कर रहा है, कोई लड़की वैसी डांस कर रही है, शी इज़ एंजॉइंग हर सेल्फ, तौबा कितनी ख़राब लड़की है. ठीक है ना, शी इज़ जस्ट एंजॉइंग हर सेल्फ. यू सी अ वीडियो ऑफ एनी गर्ल डांसिंग, आप नीचे कमेंट्स देख लें, मुझे तो कुछ कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं. यू गाइज आर स्मार्ट इनफ टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो आई थिंक इट ऑल कम्स डाउन टू व्हाट इज़ द नैरेटिव being fed to the society. That is the root cause of why we're not working on this. Because if you look at India, because why am I saying India? Because हमारा neighbor है, उनके जितने भी आर्टिस्ट होते हैं जो वो डांस करते हैं, सिंगिंग करते हैं, कोई भी और आर्ट है, कोई भी हुनर है उनमें, उनको तो वो ऐसे पेडेस्टल के ऊपर खड़ा करते हैं कि जिस तरह पता नहीं क्या बात है. एक तो ये चीज़ है दैट वी रियली नीड टू थिंक अबाउट इट. द ओनली वे वी कैन डू दैट इज थ्रू द मीडिया एंड द गवर्नमेंट नीड्स टू सपोर्ट अस. Without the government, without the main stakeholders, without the people making the policies, this cannot happen. People such as yourself will always fight the good fight, but we'll always just end up on a panel discussion talking about this, right? The last point that I have is also, which I feel is हमारे यहाँ पे जिन लोगों का काम होता है ना, वो उस डिपार्टमेंट में होते ही नहीं है. ठीक है ना, आप उस डिपार्टमेंट के हेड से बात करेंगे जिनका कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है. And you're thinking, अच्छा, this guy is heading the department. Does he even know about it? So we really need to think about our choices and about our priorities and कौन कहाँ लगा हुआ है, और friendships नहीं चलती. ये दोस्ती यारियाँ नहीं चलेंगी. If you have merit for it, then you are apt for it. Simple.
100%.
So I'm going to ask a question that follows up with what all of you have been saying. And SAROSH, you mentioned something, and I found that interesting. You said that maybe the work that we do should have value in it. It should be teaching something. But my question to you is, and you're also talking about how you were seen in Turkey, for example, and you're interested in having a better perception of the nature. Acha, people who've controlled art and this industry in Pakistan were trying to do exactly that. They thought, whether it was from religion point of view, or they thought, isi se we'll get a good whatever. My question to you is that for art to grow in Pakistan, do you need it to be directed, or do you need it to have no restrictions? That somebody can make something that people will detest, but will create an argument, that will create further innovation. I mean, I think, Zulfi, I remember when you took over Coke Studio, I thought you were the gutsiest man in the country, because there was a legacy to overcome, and in a way you broke convention, orthodoxy. But my question is, in some ways that we're slightly moralizing about art, isn't the root of love for art is art of itself, that it moves you, not that it makes you a better person? Is that something you agree with or disagree with?
Isn't art relative? I mean, if you talk about it in a philosophical way, what is blue to you is green to me. So for you, if you feel that this person sitting right in front of you is a piece of art, and for me, I feel it's just a piece of furniture. So I guess if you get into that debate, it's a little philosophical, but at the same time, I think what is really happening in today's day and age is inclusivity and diversity in art. So yes, if you generalize it in a way, art has no boundaries, and it shouldn't. So I'm against the banning culture. And for me, as a radio show host or a TV show host, I hate not playing music of different countries, because I've been told by the government not to play it. And I love listening to the music anyway in my car. आप लोग भी सुनते हैं, मैं भी सुनती हूँ, but नहीं, टीवी पे नहीं लगा सकते, रेडियो पर नहीं लगा सकते, भाई क्यों? वैसे तो हम फिल्में भी देखेंगे, वैसे तो हम आपस में भी डायलॉग मारेंगे. तो ये थोड़ी सी जो hypocrisy आती है ना, we need to figure it out कि why are we doing this? So I think we need to let go of the banning culture. Is my point a little bit.
I just want to add a little chota sa episode. Yeah. There is this dance group called Quick Style that we collaborated with for Coke Studio as well. So I was talking to one of those people, Bilal. They are from Norway. So उन्होंने मुझे बड़ी एक मज़ेदार सी बात बताई. उन्होंने कहा कि जब हम क्लब्स वगैरह में देखते हैं, सारी दुनिया के गाने लगे होते हैं, people are dancing, enjoying. कहते हैं the moment कना यारी जब play होता है ना, so everybody's movements change, like just instinctively. I feel maybe we also need to connect to our identities better and wholesomely without any fear of judgment. जो हैं वो हैं, अंग्रेज़ी नहीं सही बोलनी आती, नहीं आती, उर्दू आती है, पंजाबी आती है, सिंधी आती है, बलोची आती है, पश्तो आती है, और इतनी लैंग्वेजेस हैं हमारे कल्चर में. आई थिंक वो टाइम ना हमें अपनी आइडेंटिटी से कनेक्ट करने का मेरा ख्याल है अब आ गया है, और अब करते भी हैं, और इस बारे में हम ना फेयरलेस भी हैं. सो आई थिंक इफ़ in answer to your question, if we connect to our identities better ना, only then we'll, मतलब हमें अंदाज़ा ये बात होना चाहिए इसी बात से कि there is something about us which makes us, हमारी वो बेशक imperfections हों, कुछ हों, लेकिन वही हमें यूनिक बनाती हैं, वही हमें डाइवर्स बनाती हैं. We embrace that, we will prosper, we will shine throughout the world. ठीक है, thank you. जी SAROSH, you wanted to add something?
I will enforce this one more time that अगर हमारी values, अगर हम अपने values पे गौर करें कि हमारी values जो हैं, are we honest? हर sector में wherever I go, I see in Pakistan कि हर जगह पे कोई ना कोई किसी का अपना interest होता है. Merit based लोग आगे आ ही नहीं सकते unless they have a contact. तो वो चीज़ें मीडिया में चले जाएं, आप विजुअल आर्ट में चले जाएं, किसी भी उसमें, तो अगर हम ऑनेस्टी से चलना शुरू करें और एक दूसरे के साथ वो करें जो हमें हर चीज़ एज अ पाकिस्तानी करना चाहिए, तो हमारे रास्ते बहुत खुल जाएंगे। आई हैव लिव्ड अब्रॉड मैनी ईयर्स एंड मैंने देखा कि वहाँ पे इंडियंस सारी कम्युनिटीज़ एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट करती हैं, इतना सपोर्ट करती हैं, अगर आपके पास मेरिट है, आपके पास कुछ अच्छा है तो इट विल गो फॉरवर्ड। बट यहाँ ऐसे नहीं होता, यहाँ पे हर जगह गवर्नमेंट तो बिल्कुल क्लोज्ड वो है, वो अपने लोगों को प्रमोट करती है। अच्छी हैं उनको, आई एम एन आर्टिस्ट, आई हैव ओपनिंग ऑफ एन आर्ट गैलरी, आई वांट दोज आर्टिस्ट टू पुट जिनके पास मेरिट है वो अपनी पेंटिंग्स वहाँ रखें। आई डोंट वांट बड़े बिग नेम्स, आई वांट देम टू ग्रो।
So, Sanam, I want to ask you a different question. वो ये है कि all around the world, with whatever industry it is the design of the city tends to help. So even if you've got mines or if you've got industries, how closely do they link from, you know, companies that come in or bring in supplies, or cities, how do they bring together human capital? I mean, do we have in every neighborhood a community center? What do you think we need? Because you've done theater.
बिल्कुल.
Yes.
We the conversation always came cinemas की बात पे कि हम लोग क्यों नहीं generate कर पा रहे money from ticket sales, because हमारे कितने से 100 and something थे, COVID के बाद वो भी कम हो गए, 20-25% वो भी कम हो गए. So we have not enough cinemas. We have no single screen cinemas, which is why India thrives, because they have all of those. We have no arts and recreational centers. जो YMCAs हमारी दादियों के ज़माने में होते थे, where they'd go play a sport, or community center where सारों की शादियाँ तो वहीं से हुई, बैडमिंटन खेल रहा है, कोई टेनिस, कोई चेस, कोई डिबेट्स सोसाइटी का हिस्सा ले रहा, डिबेट सोसाइटी के हिस्से में ले रहा है. But we have not enough theatres, we have not enough cinemas, we have not enough parks. आप लोग तो फिर भी पंजाब में रहते हो, you're very lucky. Karachi has no parks. It does not have a proper outdoor space at all, zero. So no, we are not, Pakistan is not conducive as a city, as a country, to enable artists to be street performers, to have musical shows, to have a theatre in the park or in an auditorium. अभी वो कोशिश कर रहे हैं, Pakistan People's Point या कुछ बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, but बात उस वहीं पे आती जो जुल्फी कह रहे थे कि हम अहमियत नहीं देते आर्ट्स को इतना. इट्स काइंड ऑफ लाइक अ साइड लाइन थिंग. तो व्हाट इज़ मोर इम्पोर्टेंट रैलीज और रिलीजियस टॉक्स और मे बी लिटिल बिट ऑफ NGO वर्क बट और हेल्थ केयर, बट देयर इज़ नॉट इनफ इज्जत एंड अहमियत गिवन टू म्यूजिक एंड थिएटर एंड एक्टिंग, which is sad because it can generate so much money through job opportunities. There is so much employment needed, and there's so many job opportunities for people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter what caste, religion, age, sex you are. There is a job for everyone in that one industry, and you don't even have to have a degree to come into that industry. It is all on the job experience. So sadly, we are, as a culture, we are not, we don't encourage it enough, but inshallah we're moving towards that direction.
Yeah.
And Coke Studio has been a huge influence in that way.
उन्होंने सारे उम्मीदें कोक स्टूडियो पे डाल दी है.
क्योंकि Coke Studio
आप
एक वो वाहिद
क्या
था.
करेंगे? But no.
Coke Studio and our Pakistani dramas,
100%.
we were able to put.
But I'm just going to move on. I just want to move on. I want to also open it up to everyone.
Please.
I just want to ask one question. Or Sarosh, again, you were mentioning this, and I feel this is something that people will ask. In terms of the opportunities you've had to develop, and I want short answers for this. I just want a very quick acknowledgement or a disagreement.
मुझे क्यों देख रहे हो फसी?
हाँ, सबको देख रहा हूँ. मैं सबको देख रहा हूँ. एक स्टेयर सबको मार लेता हूँ. ठीक है, it's equal. My question is, do you feel that some of your access or your success is also down to some privilege you had? Because जैसे आप कह रही थी कि सिफारिश पे वो होता है, there are networks in art, ठीक है ना, even in music, drama, भर्ती होना, ये वो, you need to know people. So I just want to ask you, do you feel that at some level privilege had a role in the beginning? Let's start with you, Sanam.
Yes.
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 Okay, Sarosh?
I don't think in my case, because I was totally a science student. I worked as a chemist in States, and I came here and recognized my mother used to paint. And I started about 12, 13 years ago painting, and I figured out that, you know, I started getting awards. And so for me, you know, and I love, now I think this is my line, this is my passion, and I cannot live without painting. So,
Zulfi.
I mean, even the fact that I can study, invest in myself educationally is a privilege. अगर उस तरह मैं देखूं, but I am a software engineer who just wanted to do music. So this is a very relative question. I don't know if there is a yes or no answer to that, but yes and no, both.
ठीक है. All right. जी.
I think privilege always gets you to a certain place, but sustainability will only happen if you're consistent.
yes.
Same goes with star kids also when you talk about nepotism. I mean, they will have all the resources and all the contacts, but they would not be able to carry the legacy forward if they're not good at it and if they're not, consistent. Just one quick point, Fasi, which is very important also. I have a suggestion. We have lots of food and music festivals happening in Pakistan. Almost all of you know about them, right? And governments, when they fund music and food festivals, so I think what we should also pitch in to the government and certain इदारे जो हम लोगों के सरकारी हैं जो कि फंड करते हैं फेस्टिवल्स कि आप इनके ऊपर भी इन्वेस्ट करें. जिस तरह आप पॉडकास्ट स्टार्ट करें या आप कोई स्कूल खोलें या मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम्स खोलें, मेरे ख्याल से ये कर सकते हैं.
Great. So now I'm going to open it up. We've had like a broad discussion and I thank you all. Questions to our panelists of things that you want. I will point you out one by one and if you can take the mic over there. So who was it over there that was? Yes, first is you up there.
Mic already here.
Acha, he's privileged, so let's talk to him first. Ji.
Firstly, I'm really happy to see a lot of stars and sound minds in front of me. So basically, I'm a student of economics. So my question is, firstly, I got really fascinated by your opening statement that creative and culture industries are good avenues to generate great revenues. So my question is, since the inception of these industries, how much it has contributed to the economy of Pakistan, and what more can be done to improve the contribution towards the economy? And secondly, the film industry specifically, a lot of movies gets banned. For example, Joyland, it got banned. Iski kya reasons hai? And what can you done to nip these restrictions in the bud?
Okay, if we can then pass it on over there. I'd like to ask 2-3 questions in a go and then the third will be you. All right, yes.
This is Fatma Iqbal from Curator College. मैंने ये सवाल पूछना था कि सब कॉन्टिनेंट का एक हिस्ट्री रही है with Mughal Empire and they really liked arts and aesthetics. लेकिन why do we have this perspective in our society generally कि एक arts degree या music या जो भी इस तरह की degrees हैं वो एक worthless degrees हैं? Why is this and how can we change this?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shahriyar. I am an engineer and a part-time musician. I'm a singer and rhythm guitarist as well. मेरा सवाल थोड़ा सा टू प्रोंग्ड अप्रोच के ऊपर है. सबसे पहले तो मैं एक चीज़ पॉइंट आउट करना चाहूँगा कि जहाँ पे हम अपनी नेबरहुड में देखते हैं बॉलीवुड का फुटप्रिंट और पेनिट्रेशन इन द वर्ल्ड बहुत ज़्यादा है. मतलब दुनिया के हर कोने में शाहरुख खान का नाम शायद हर कोई जानता है. तो हम ये देखते हैं कि उन्होंने अपनी सॉफ्ट पावर के थ्रू क्या अप्रोच पैदा की और क्या पेनिट्रेशन पैदा की. तो व्हाट लेसन्स कैन वी लर्न फ्रॉम इट. सेकेंडली, आप लोगों ने बात की आइडेंटिटी की, तो मैं उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा पूछना चाह रहा था क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि हम आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस में कि वी ट्रेस आवर आइडेंटिटी फ्रॉम अरब्स. कभी कोई इर्तुगरुल कहते हैं कि वो देख लो, कोई कहता है सलाउद्दीन के ऊपर सीरीज बन रही है, मोहम्मद कासिम का जिक्र होता है. इट्स नॉट बैड, लेकिन हमारी जो अपनी जैसे जुल्फी साहब ने कहा कल्चरल आइडेंटिटीज़ और रीजनल आइडेंटिटीज़, उसको किस तरह से कंसोलिडेट कर सकते हैं, और जो आप लोग ने प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत अच्छी आइडेंटिफाई की उसका वे फॉरवर्ड क्या हो सकता है specifically?
Okay, thank you. So the first question, does anybody here know what the contribution of the creative and cultural industries would be to the economy of Pakistan? I'm not sure any study has isolated this yet, but I'll ask the panel.
We don't have numbers or figures, but it's obviously a booming industry because music, in fact, it's growing even more now, the music industry and television and OTT platform
And
content.
sculpture,
No numbers,
right?
but there is definitely growth because वो अभी तक survive कर रहे हैं.
I also want to answer this for you. See, like our people in Pakistan, musicians, like, would you know there is a 19-year-old guy in Karachi, who's a music producer, Umair. He collaborates with the top Indian rappers to create music, right? I don't know if you would know, but Kahani Suno, Kafi Khalil song, it's in the top 10. It was up, it's in top 12, top 15 mein aa gaya, but it was in the top 10 of YouTube global music video charts. सो उसमें और कौन था? उसमें शाहरुख खान का गाना था एक, आई थिंक बेशरम रंग था नंबर 1 पे, एंड नंबर 8 पे ये था. सो आ गया ना. अब वो क्या कोई बहुत ग्लॉसी चीज़ है? नहीं है. सॉरी, मैं ज़रा 2-3 सवाल मिक्स करके आंसर कर रहा हूँ. अपॉलॉजीज, राइट. सो आई थिंक अगेन आइडेंटिटी कनेक्ट वाली बात आपकी 100% ठीक है. वो करेंगे तो फिर ये मैटर नहीं करेगा कि आप कोई बहुत ग्लॉसी ग्लिटसी चीज़ बना रहे हैं. बस आप ट्रूथफुली ऑनेस्टली एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं. द वर्ल्ड इज लिसनिंग टू अस राइट नाउ, right? And as far as revenue is concerned, all these people, artists in Pakistan, with the digital platform opening up, how are they earning? Through YouTube and all these, they are earning the revenue like that. और revenue कहाँ से, YouTube से किस तरह आएगा? बाहर से आएगा. जब revenue बाहर से आएगा, तो obviously the country is, benefiting from that. So the thing is that अब वो जो हम global narrative का connection बन गया ना, right now this is what's happening. All these artists have revenues to express themselves on the world stage and earn on the world stage as well. So economy के अंदर contribution begin बड़ी देर की हुई है. again attention नहीं है ना, तो शायद बहुत लोगों को वाकई ये पता ही ना होता कि कैफ़ी का गाना जो कि उसने बस एक होम टाइप वीडियो बनाई है कि चल यार वीडियो बनाते हैं करते हैं, वो आ गया चार्ट्स में, लेकिन हमें शाहरुख खान का पता है. So there's also like our own narratives का पता होना भी ना हमें बड़ा awareness ज़रूरी है. There's so much happening man throughout the world. Please.
ठीक है. And then there was this question that asked,
Why is it necessary?
Credentials. Why do you need degrees?
You don't need degrees.
There's a feeling that you do need them for opening jobs.
अच्छा, worthless समझा. हाँ, वो तो हमारे कौम का मसला है. Ties down to वो that the enough respect and weightage is not given to these career options. So I mean, that's why as soon as we give it more value, then these will be. But I don't believe you need a degree as इंसानों, as a human being, हमारे अंदर रब्त है, ताल है, सुर है. We are naturally creative people, whether you take that out in painting or singing or dance or acting or poetry. I don't think you need a degree for that. And to answer your question, why is it not given weightage? You're sitting right here. You know the country and how we value and how we think of the arts.
Sure, can I?
जी.
I think career ना, अब क्योंकि उस career पे attention लोगों की है, तो अब वो भी तो narrative change हो रहा है. I see so many people जो कि arts में अब interested हैं to pursue a degree, और उनके parents ही उनको भेजते हैं culturally भी. So that's changing also, because you need to see around you कि अच्छा this is a career through which people can earn. There is a system. It is being created. अगर वो internally industry नहीं भी बन रही ना, तो again as I said, वो globally बन रही है और हम उस global narrative का हिस्सा हैं. तो through arts we can have our own livelihood. So वो respect भी it's increasing.
And also you don't need a degree to be successful in life now.
Not at all.
Okay, to be very honest, आप किसी को भी पकड़ लेना जो सक्सेस स्टोरीज हैं, कोई गांव में बच्चा होगा जिसके अंदर कोई स्किल होगा, या किसी ने अपने गराज में एक आइडिया सोचा उसको बड़ा बना लिया. तो अगर आप ये सोचेंगे ना कि डिग्री से आपको सक्सेस मिलेगी, तो डोंट गो फॉर इट. Just follow your passion, follow your heart. It's going to take you somewhere.
Absolutely.
So if you can go down there. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, it's okay.
Okay, if you can go down there, there's a person there at the end on the second row, second last. They have a question.
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed. I have a question. What are the key challenges that cultural industries faced in terms of innovation and creatives in Pakistan economy? और मेरा second question ये है, you were saying that use social media to
For impact, not to impress.
Not to उसमें मतलब उसमें क्या resistance हम face करते हैं, मतलब क्यों करते हैं? मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि किस टाइप की resistance उसमें आती है? हमें गवर्नमेंट को फॉलो करना चाहिए?
Okay, thank you. We got the question. Now, if we can come here, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ms. Rai, and my question is like we were talking about we are doing well in individual capacity, but we fail as a nation, or we fail to do things in teamwork. So my question is that the creative industry or the media should play its role in team building, or instead of making teams in the industry, we should play some role in this. So
Okay.
I need comments.
All right, thank you. If we can have the question, there's the last one over there.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Mr. Fasi, there's a statement on your Twitter account that you are a former Pakistan hockey team captain. I don't know what's the truth in that. So my question was related to that. There's a very beautiful interplay between art, philosophy and sport. Like we see that in the Olympics, we see that in the recent World Cup which happened at Qatar. And even it unites people from all backgrounds. Like in the India-Pakistan World Cup match, like Pakistan lost the match, but I really enjoyed Virat Kohli hitting us for 2 sixes and then taking his team over the line. So what do you think, are there any future prospects for reviving the national sport in Pakistan? And how do you see that?
So I shouldn't be answering any questions, but I'll answer this one since you've asked me. So 10 years ago, somebody was arguing with me on social media. I had written something and they were like, who are you to say this? So I just randomly said, I'm your former national hockey team captain. And then I put it in my bio. And then newspapers don't do that much research. They've quoted me 4 or 5 times on the net. If you type my name, I'm a former hockey team captain. So what's even worse is I have to stop this joke. It's still there because 6 years ago, I was called by the Planning Commission. I'd done a report on youth demography, so I thought they had called me for that. And I went, and there I was making the 5-year youth policy for sports. And there were generals, all heads of, hockey, whatever. I was so scared if they find out I'm a fraud. The moment they asked me, what do you say? So I just said, it's a sad thing as a Pakistani that a national game like this has been destroyed at the hands of money because cricket has been prioritized, whatever. And everyone was like, yes, that is the guy. So I'm not answering the question on sports. I'm a fraud. I don't know anything about it. So the first question that you asked was about soft power, right? And whether it works. Is that something that we can look forward to?
I don't remember the question.
I remember his question
Yes.
about the social media one. So the thing is, social media is like a TV station. It is like a full-on media. So you have the power, but you also have the responsibility because we don't have a regulatory authority to control it, right? So instead of following the herd, plan your content. So don't plan your content because you want to impress people. Because, if you want to have fun, that's great. Everyone wants to have a little fun. But if you really want to create an impact, you have to strategize things. And that is where responsibilities come in. That is where good and logical thinking comes in as well if you want to set that benchmark for people to follow. Otherwise, just have fun if you want to.
आसानी से basically कुछ नहीं आता, बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, बहुत मेहनत and planning.
सेक्टर में
मतलब ग्लासेस लगा के एक डांस करना में मजा तो आएगा आपको एंड यू प्रॉब्ली गोइंग टू गेट वायरल फॉर इट आल्सो, मगर इसका फिर फायदा नहीं है ना.
And to answer the second question also, basically the government needs to set an agenda. That's why other countries, you can clearly see it in India, how they kind of, through their art and culture, I think they've tapped into the importance of art and culture and the positive impact it has on the country. India is huge because they've got their actors, their celebrities are global icons now. They're not just big Bollywood stars. They're global icons. They're ambassadors for brands, for sports, for airlines, for music, for everything. And where are we? So we don't have agents, we don't have representatives. Hamaरी government ने एक, I think, sector बनाना है जहाँ पे वो हमें guide करें, हमें help करें, अपने पाकिस्तानी entertainers को represent करें and plug them in at proper avenues and platforms where we can excel, where we can shine and where we can roshan karo Pakistan's name as a unified country, as Pakistanis, not as individual artists.
So I'm actually going to bring the session now a bit to a close. I'm going to ask one final question from everyone, and I'd like to start off with Sophie, if you could answer this. Is that if you wanted one reform in the way the creative arts and industry is regulated by the government in the country, what would that be?
There are many different ideas that are in my head for reforms, but I do believe that we need mentorship programs. And I'll tell you why, because we have a lot of fields. For instance, radio is huge. We have people such as Khalid Malik, Wes Malik, Dino, myself, and other people as well who've been there for so long. Why are we not using them? We have people such as so many different singers and musicians who've been there, done that. वो अभी भी background में बहुत काम कर रहे हैं, मगर वो नई जनरेशन के लिए, फ्यूचर के लिए जो वे फॉरवर्ड भी किसी ने यहाँ से पूछा था, शायद आपने पूछा था, तो वे फॉरवर्ड किस तरह हो सकता है जब आपके सबसे बेस्ट ऑफ द बेस्ट जो एक्सपर्ट्स हैं आप उनको यूटिलाइज ही नहीं कर रहे पाकिस्तान में. तो आई वुड थिंक एंड आई वुड सजेस्ट एंड माई एडवाइस वुड बी दैट वी नीड मेंटोरशिप प्रोग्राम्स बिकॉज वी नीड टू ट्रेन द यंग माइंड्स through the mentors who have had excellent services in their fields.
Zulfi?
I think art on the streets, I think we need to normalize it so that जो बच्चे भी देख रहे हो तो उनके लिए वो एक चीज़ नॉर्मल लगे, कोई बहुत और चीज़ ना लगे कि पता नहीं जब बाद में बड़े होके आर्ट डिग्री करना चाहें तो उनके पेरेंट्स कहे कि नहीं. We have to subliminally put into the, into the subconscious कि art is a beautiful thing, it's a balance of life. Art on the streets is important in my opinion.
Sanam?
I think the last point that I said, that the government needs to make use of its artists to kind of plug them in to create that positive image and therefore generate revenue for the country.
Sarosh, you have the final word on this.
I think merit is needs to be targeted more, and again values, and then they should project their artists. It's nobody there to, you have to totally do on your own. You are own on this platform. All of us, I think, nobody has supported. And we had to stand and we had to do our own. And many times you fall and then you stand again. And those are we need, if there is recognition, so they should be supported. That's what I think.
Ji.
I think power of people is the most fascinating, beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And I feel that I completely understand the reforms are really important, but we are more powerful than the reforms, trust me. I really feel that. And I feel we have also proven that. I mean, I will just talk about right now, Coke Studio even. What makes Coke Studio go to the world as a culture export? You people. Because you love it, you share it, you like it. So that is your power. कि आज एक बलूची लड़का world top 10 में है यार, with Shah Rukh Khan song. A guy who lives in Lyari, right? I mean, you have the power to change every narrative and tell people our greater narrative. So yes, reforms will always help. Industry development will always help. But in just my opinion, culture propagation will begin all of this.
With mentors such as yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% a part of that game. Absolutely. But आप propagate करें, आपके पास सारी power है. Trust me.
All right. So I'd like to thank our panel, Sophie, Zulfi,
thank you,
Sanam, and Sarosh. All of you, it's been really good to have you. And I think some of the lessons from the discussion are that there are economic prospects that come from the creative and cultural industries. The reform possibilities are also quite significant because there are large areas where there needs to be an addressal of systems to ensure that artists are incentivized and they get what they're working for. The second one is also one of culture and value of art, which of course is reflected by the government's interest, but it's also a problem of our people and our culture because it's not something that is as organized or accepted by them as well. So they also need to have a value or a premium placed on art itself if this sector is to grow. And lastly, I think there's also the question of what we didn't maybe talk about enough is the over-regulatory aspect of the government. Its focus on banning things rather than making clear what the work is, what is artistic merit in work, and why actually maybe you should allow everything and just regulate it by age maybe, because you need to create a thriving industry where ideas are unfettered. And like Zulfi said, the people should then decide what they accept and what they reject. So anyhow, I thank you all for your time and thank you my panel once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.